I can't remember what he said like, oh, how long have you lived in Japan? And I was like, oh, like 5 years or whatever it was. I think I've been in Japan like 6 years by that point. And then he started berating me for my Japanese, which has never happened before or since.
Yes, good stuff.
And he was like,
wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, and we're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast, Mr. Pete Lawson himself. Pete, how the devil are you doing? What's going on? Have a nice holiday.
I did have a nice holiday, and thanks to Chris, I think Chris lost his keys just before we started recording. I was able to have one of my celebrated. I don't get to do this enough. And I don't do this enough, and I should do. It's an important part of self-care. Having a half-an-hour shower is hotter than the sun. People talk about getting up and doing yoga, going for a run, I don't know, reaching your PB at your bench pressing, etc. But I think all a man, woman, or otherwise needs is a lovely hot half-an-hour shower that takes the skin off your back as to how hot it is. And so, yeah, I'm feeling good, Chris. I've just come to my studio / cabin down the end of the garden, Chris, and someone's left a load of rubbish in here, for crying out loud. Some Doritos, a grab bag of Doritos, and some Taste of the Game Grouse and Winbury crisps.
What the hell?
Well, it's just... I feel like, you know that bloke who's got a really messy bedroom, Asmongold? I feel like him.
Don't start on him.
Don't start on him. I know you get a bit prickly when I sort of go after the fatted calves of YouTube, but my God, that guy's bedroom is messy. I just feel like him at the moment. So I think I need a little bit of pre-Christmas cleaning. I think before
Who put it in there though? How to get in there? You've not elaborated on how the crisps found their way into the studio.
I ate them and I left the packet here because I'm a pig.
Oh, so it was you who left the filth everywhere.
Yeah, I'm Asmongold. I don't care. I don't mind. I'm Asmongold without the billions. That's fine. Absolutely fine.
The secret is to react to everyone's videos. And he reacted to one of my videos once, and I didn't know how to feel about it because he just sits there, just watches your video.
He looks like a spooky ghost. He's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got lovely eyes.
Well, I just don't know how I feel about it, really, because he watched my video, reacted to it. It didn't affect my video, but I've seen like people say that they've sort of lost views because Asmongold guys react to their stuff, and then everyone goes and watches his video and not the original, so they get their views.
Oh, right, okay.
And I kind of see where they're coming from. You know, it didn't affect me, but to other YouTubers, that is a bit shit, isn't it?
Where did he get a start? It was like a Warhammer, not Warhammer streamer. It's some kind of RPG streamer, wasn't he? I suppose.
Yeah, I know.
Sort of branched out.
Well, I know he had him and the Trash Taste guys don't like each other, I think, or there was some thing going on there between them.
Right.
Don't know. The world of streamers, I can't say I'm big on it. I know a few.
No.
I know a few good streamers. Your Pete's, your Connors, your Iron Mouses, they're all good. But there are a lot of shit people.
Surpassed Kai Cenat. Is that how you say that guy's name?
Really
for the first
stuff.
time, which is incredible. I mean, what a performance! What an achievement! Again, I've not really watched that much of Iron Mouse's stuff, and I've only seen her with like Connor and stuff, so I don't really sort of understand how it all sort of pans out. I might become might be an avatar YouTuber. Because this ain't getting any endorsements, is it? This isn't putting bums on seats, for crying out loud.
I see the appeal. Yeah, it would be nice to look. I mean, like I look like crap today. I look like I've fallen out of a cupboard, and I've been a bit exasperated running around today. And it'd be lovely to be behind like a 2D version of myself that looks a lot better than this. But we can't all do it. I've been on a holiday myself. I haven't been leaving crisp wrappers all over the studio. Luckily, I came back and it was
that wasn't my
clean.
holiday. I didn't just spend my time eating crisp. I mean, I did spend my time eating crisp, so that's an unrelated matter. I went to the northeast. I went to Alnwick. I went to Alnwick Castle. I went to some beautiful historical sites and ate crisps.
That's a rare thing. Usually you're off in some exotic land like Serbia or some sort of former Soviet republic, and now you're off in England having a trip.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Yeah, well, I thought I'd... well, when I was a kid, and I keep telling this story, like, when I was a kid, we never had a car, so I've not seen a lot of the northeast.
Your father was a toolmaker.
My father was a toolmaker.
We didn't have a car. You didn't have a car?
Bring back the sausages. He didn't have a car. We never had a car, so we've not really... I've not seen a lot of the northeast. Turns out it's flipping delightful. It's really lovely. I mean, if you've got anything about you, And and let's face it, you choose the summer months to do it in. Get yourself up to like Annex, sort of Northumberland way. It's absolute. Every picture is a bucolic Windows screensaver. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. Went to Hawley Island, Lindisfarne, bought some mead. God, mead's gross, isn't it? Have you tried mead before? I'm going to bring you some mead, Chris.
I feel like this is a TV series waiting to happen, like Pete Dawson's British Isles, rediscovering the good stuff in the UK.
Isn't it sweet? Sweet? Suckling pig. Gross. It's all shiny and red.
Pete Dawson brings back the sausages. I can't believe that Keir Starmer... I don't want to go on British politics too long,
no,
but my God.
But to be fair, we've had a go at Trump enough times, so we can have a go. Let's have a week off from the comments on the YouTube. He's not had a great start to his tenure, has he?
Bring back the sausages. I had so many people message me about that, like, your friend Keir Starmer. My friend that I met once for 4 minutes. I mean, people were like, you subliminally put that in his mind. And for those of you who don't know, he was talking about a horrible situation, rescuing the hostages, and he said something to the effect of, let's bring back the sausages. I mean, hostages. And
Man's
it's like,
hungry.
My God, of all the words he could have screwed up, he chose the worst word, honestly.
I would resign immediately. I'm sorry. I know it was a hard-won victory some months ago, but I would resign. I'd hand in my badge.
Would you actually?
I'm sorry. I'm not fit. I said sausages instead of hostages, and if I say that at the UN, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Bring back, but it's just like, to be fair to him, and this is quite impressive. When you fuck up a speech like that, you would think that you would be like, and you'd fall apart. But he kept on going, and he kind of. It almost felt like he was just like, nobody heard that. Don't worry, I'll just keep on going.
I mean, remember Ed Miliband fell foul of the whole bacon sandwich thing because he was pictured eating a bacon sandwich incorrectly, as the Sun would say. These pork everybody stay away from pork products, especially when you're talking about Israel-Palestine, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
obvious.
Fuck
Easy.
me, honestly. What a cock-up.
Yeah.
British politics. And over in Japan, meanwhile, politically, we have a new Prime Minister as well, which I'm sure we'll get into in an upcoming episode. They've just called a general election here in Japan, which, to be fair, I mean, I don't get overly excited by Japanese politics. It's not that fun.
It's the same old man.
It is always
the same old
another
seat, really.
50 to 60-year-old Japanese man.
Young. That's quite young for the old Japanese Duma, whatever they call it.
But I think this guy's popular. But we'll talk about that later. Let's get into the story of the week. And it is from Melody. And it begins, I said, fucking hell, this is a story and a half, isn't it? Dear Chris and Pete, I'm a jet living in rural Shimane. Shimane, really remote prefecture. Nobody's ever been there. I've only passed through it briefly. Lovely place, though. Looks lovely. I live in rural Shimane and have a routine of grabbing breakfast and coffee at our local Lawson. It's always very crowded in the morning, and on this particular day, there is only one spot left. It was a really tight fit, since the car to my right backed in and had parked at an awkward angle. However, I managed to squeeze in and leave just enough space to open their doors. I go inside, grab a sandwich and stand in line, and I hear the Lawson jingle as the door opens for another customer. Then I hear odd, heavy footsteps, a sort of mix between a stomp and a shuffle. Then a booming voice exclaimed, "Who parked next to my car?" It's like a fucking troll from under a bridge. An old man in a gardening uniform and big white boots was standing square on, red-faced, and clearly was the one who just bellowed out for everyone in Lawson to hear. He suddenly swiveled, locking eyes with the man ahead of me in the line. He points at him and demands, "What's your license plate number?" Now I have no clue what my license number plate is, but I have a sinking feeling that the car he was talking about was mine. Thankfully, I get summoned up to the counter to pay for my sandwich and coffee. Unsure if I was his target, I thought I could quickly pay, slip out into my car and floor it out of there. However, as the attendant is processing my order, the old man throws up his hands and stomps out of the Lawson. I think we all collectively breathed a sigh of relief. As I made my coffee and looked out the window, I saw the old man standing next to my car, though. I mentioned to the ladies behind the counter that I'm too scared to move my car. Jesus. They wave it off and tell me it's fine and that he's just a crazy old man. I decide to drink my coffee slowly, hoping he'd leave. Oh my, just making the situation worse by not moving your car.
So tense. I'm so tense. I am absolutely bricking it right now.
I mean, if this was America, he pulled out a 12-gauge shotgun and an AR-15. This was an error, as the customers quickly thinned out, and he made the connection between the foreigner nervously watching him and the now only static car for about 10 minutes. He pointed at me from the car park and into the Lawson, exclaiming, "It's you! Move your car!" Embarrassed and now ready to leave, I apologised and quickly moved my car. I was so shocked by this experience that I went to work and told some of my co-workers what happened. They said that this old man was famous for parking badly and getting angry at other people. It had almost become a shtick and no one takes him seriously. Still, it was a major contradiction to my interactions in Japan, which had until that point been very polite and pleasant. Have you experienced the anger of an elderly man or woman while in Japan? Best wishes, Melody. Fucking hell. That was intense.
What I like, I don't know, Melody, I don't know whether you're American or British, but it feels very British, and I've done this so many times. You just hunker down, and you just hide for a bit and hope it all sort of blows over. It didn't blow over. The old man was furious with you, but
it sounded like he could have got in the car.
So tense.
It sounded like he could have got in. Melody
he could have got in,
generous.
but he's an old man who doesn't have much in his day apart from his white boots and his anger. I suppose because the Japanese people are known for being, their joints are good, aren't they? Because they stress importance on yoga and they're cross-legged and they sort of like when you say like it's that kind of Japanese kneeling thing where you just see really old people able to just sort of remain on their haunches, remain on their kind of knees for hours because they've spent their whole life doing it. If I get up these days, I scream in a really shrill manner, and I'm in my early 40s, so like it's I could think that he could sort of contort himself into his car by getting in the passenger seat, to be honest. Mind you, K cars are quite small.
What do you expect, though? Your joints are shot to bits. You eat crisps all day. You haven't got any nutrition.
I eat crisps all day and play 11 aside on really hard, cold pitches in the Essex area. Terrible.
I mean, I did have a really bad encounter with an old guy once. I can't remember if I talked about it. I was going to make a sketch reenacting it, but I don't know. It was basically when we were doing the Fukushima documentary, Ryota and I ended up in a place called Iwaki, which is just south of Fukushima. And we were covering a few different people and places. We didn't end up featuring this place in the video because it wasn't really relevant, and also the guy was a real dick. But basically, we got to this art museum, and I use museum in quotation marks because it was just like a guy's house with like a sculpture in a garden, and it wasn't very good. And it had a rope swing, and that was the only bit that was fun. But we got there, and there was myself, Ryotaro, and a guy that was helping us with the shoot around Fukushima. And this is the documentary, the big documentary we did on the disaster. Serious documentary. We got there, and we parked up. There was a sign going up to the gravelly road, up to this guy's house. It was like, don't drive up this path. But we thought, well, look, maybe he does that because he doesn't want pedestrians or people coming here. Surely as a visitor of the site, it won't be a problem. We drove up the road, we parked up next to his own car in this relatively spacious car park, and he was very welcoming. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, come and sit round here. We'll have a little barbecue and we'll sit and we'll drink." It was the early afternoon. We sat down, and then all of a sudden he went, "You saw the sign, didn't you? You saw the sign saying don't drive up the path." And the guy was like, "Yeah." And then he went, "Ugh," and the smile was gone, and he looked like a fucking murderer. And he was like, "Why did you come up the road?" And for 45 minutes he berated this guy, and it was the most fucked up and he was just like, you don't understand. Why did you come this road? You saw the sign, but why did you come? And the guy was like, moshiwake gozaimasen, sorry. And the guy would not have it. He would not stop, and it was relentless. And I'm sitting there, and at first I was kind of like awkward, and then I got like angry because we're sorry, we get the idea. He didn't really elaborate on why driving up this road was a problem. Like we weren't running over like a fucking rare wildebeest or a unicorn. There was nothing there. It was just a road, and he went to town on this guy for 45 minutes. Like imagine 45 minutes of angry, like, why'd you cut the road? People your age don't understand. Well, you just don't understand. Like, do you not understand rules? And then there'd be like an awkward silence, and the guy would like bow his head and look at the floor. Ryotaro was there, did fuck all the whole time, just sat there and was just like looking at the sky. And Ryotaro is really bad at like confrontation. He's really bad at like.
Okay. But he's a businessman, though, isn't he? Like, how does he sort of do hard-won sort of negotiations with people who want to pay him to advertise certain parts of his of the prefectures?
Because he doesn't negotiate. He always does whatever the client says, right? Ryotaro is so nice. If you hire Ryotaro for a job, he's brilliant. You know, he's so nice. He'll bend over backwards. He'll do anything you want. But he doesn't do confrontation.
Bend over backwards to look at the ceiling instead of looking at what's going on.
And it would
ignore
just, like,
some problems.
Sitting there holding these coffees, you know, both Ryotaro and I, and then the guy turned his attention to me and was like, like he started saying something. I can't remember what he said. He said like, "Oh, you know, how long have you lived in Japan?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, like 5 years, whatever it was." I think I've been in Japan like 6 years by that point. And then he started berating me for my Japanese, which has never happened before or since.
Yes, good stuff.
And he was like,
"This guy sounds fun. Visit him again. Find out what he's up to."
It was like being in a prison or something. It felt like I was going to get waterboarded or something on my, you know. And after 45 minutes of the most awkward experience of my life, the guy's like, "Right, let's go and look at the sculpture in the garden then. Come on, let's go." And he sort of
I'm not in the mood, mate, to be honest. I'm not in the mood.
And I was like, I don't think we need to look at it because we're not going to film here now. I don't want to tell the world about, you know, this experience. But it's really interesting. I remember seeing it when I was a teacher, like when students got disciplined in a Japanese school, it's relentless. It takes like 30, 40 minutes. You know, in the UK, I remember I got told off by like a headmaster. It went on like 5 minutes, and they're like, "Don't do it again." And you're like, "Yeah, okay." In Japan, it's very much like a slow grinding kind of
proper crime.
Yeah, and it just goes on and on. And this guy, you know, it felt like he was the school headmaster, and he was fucking you up. And
so I mean, I think it's kind of like you're torn between two things. Like, you're there to do a job and you want to get the best content for your listeners, and any kind of nonsense you kind of have to absorb as someone who is working a site for the good of the video and stuff. But sometimes you are like, I'm just pulling rank here because with stuff like that, when everyone's just sort of losing their heads, I will get involved. Because I love getting involved, and I'll go, right, okay, let's prioritise, right? But I don't have the authority in my voice. I don't look authoritative.
Definitely not.
I don't. So it's like a little bird going, "Will everyone calm down, please? Will everyone calm down so we can do the thing?" So it's not really like it's not really helpful, to be honest. So in summary, that man sounds like he is probably heading for some kind of coronary.
Well, I mean, it was a while back, and I think another reason I got really angry because he was wasting time just repeating the same thing. Like, "You understand? You're not supposed to drive up the road." "Oh, see my sense, sorry." "Why did you do it then?" "Oh, I don't know." "Why did you come up the road?" "Oh, I'm not sure." "Why don't you understand?" It was just that, right? And we had a fucking documentary to film on a nuclear disaster, and I'm in this man's garden just being berated and interrogated or whatever. And when he was pulling me out on my Japanese, he said something, I didn't catch what he said, and I was like, so it's there. And he was like, "You don't know what I said, did you?" And I was like, and then he was like, "I hate it when people pretend to know what's being said when they don't actually know." And he went on again another 20 minutes, and it was just like, fucking arsehole, honestly. What a prick. What an absolute prick.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I wish I could go back in time and around the 15-minute mark into the argument,
statue off.
just burn down the sculpture. Just be
Put
like
the statue on the rope swing and swing it away. Whee!
Just be like, I mean, I couldn't say anything because it's really rude when somebody elderly is berating you in Japan. As you know, there's a hierarchy. Elderly people are brilliant and treated like gods, Confucianism, blah blah. But like, I should have just gone, "Oh, you know what? We've said sorry. How about fuck off, mate? We've got to go and do something. Like, this is wasting everyone's time now." And I would have done it if I go back in time, and I regret not doing that.
That's what I mean, isn't it? It's like it's the French. What's that French term about the esprit d'escalier?
I haven't a clue what that means.
Like the thought that you have on the stairwell. You know what I mean? It's the thought that you have when you've left the building and you're on the stairs. It's kind of like, I wish I'd done that. And life's full of those kind of things. But at the end of the day, you gave that old man a beautiful gift. The gift of
the gift of
absolutely running someone ragged for parking. Did you even use the footage in the end of the fucking statue?
We didn't film it. We went... All that happened is... And it got really Jekyll and Hyde, because we got to the rope swing, and he was like, why don't you get on my rope swing?
No! It's a trap! You're going to say, why did you get on the rope swing? Why did you get on the rope swing? And you said there was a sign saying don't get on the rope swing, and you got on the rope swing. You people! Always swinging around!
It was just weird. And I was just sitting on this rope swing over this picturesque valley, sort of shaking from anger and tired and annoyed. It was one of the most surreal... And every year... I could do like a Q&A video, right? And I'm like, I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to script it out. I'm going to film it and reenact it. Yeah. But I get so angry thinking about it that I know I just come off as really crass, because it would be really hard to do this guy justice and the experience I felt that day, And
go back, see him.
And
you know where to park. You know he's got parking. Come on.
I'll get 25 of my friends. We'll each rent a car.
Bring a monster truck.
And
bring a big limo. I'll bring a Century. We'll hire a couple of Centuries.
We'll get some really loud cars and just drive around circles in the car
Rev
park.
Around.
Fucking hell. Anyway, there you go. I've been waiting to get off my chest for many years now, and I feel like a weight.
I'm glad we were able to do that for you. Yeah. Oh dear.
We don't even need a news story of the week now. We're just going to dive straight into the fax machine.
Is Chris,
that is
Chris
the story.
Met a big angry person. Yeah, let's get the fax machine. We'll be back after this.
Back in a moment. I need to calm down.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What have we got this week from our listeners, Mr. Dawson? Fill us in. Just don't drive down the dirt track to the car park.
Don't drive down the dirt track. Chris from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, USA, which always sounds very lovely. Hello, passionate Pete and creative Chris. After many years of listening to the podcast, I finally pulled the trigger. And we'll be going to Japan in a few months. Surely you've cocked the barrel, or whatever you do with a gun. Cocked the chamber? Filled the chamber with a bullet, and you've cocked the gun, and you're about to fire, but you're not going. It just doesn't matter.
This metaphor's getting out of hand.
Having never been to Asia before, I've opted to play it safe with a group tour following the standard Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima route over 2 weeks. And I like to think I'm decently well travelled, but I do have two questions for you fine gentlemen. I need to travel to Tokyo from Hiroshima to catch my flight home. Should I make the trip by bullet train or domestic flight? And two, the flight to Japan will be the longest I've ever flown. Any personal tips or tricks to survive a 14-hour flight?
I mean, I will say, because I've done the route quite a lot over the years now between Japan and the UK, the 14-hour flight, it kind of feels manageable. Just watch. The trick is, number one, get some really good films that take your mind off everything. Get like 2 or 3 films. I watched, on my last flight back, I watched Saving Private Ryan, which was 3 hours long.
Where's that come from? That's just too. That's
I don't
too
know.
much
I was like, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I was like, I'll rewatch Saving Private Ryan.
Let's see what's happening in Saving Private. It's the same film.
Well, you know
it's
what?
The same horrible film.
Do you know the opening scene where they're like 20 seconds, and they're running up the Omaha beach, and there's like people getting blown to pieces. The plane was going through some real turbulence over a thunderstorm, so it was really fucked up. They're coming out of D-Day, like, shooting up the beach, and they're getting mowed down, and explosions, people's legs getting blown off. The plane's going all over the place, and I'm, like, getting thrown around in the seat. It was genuinely, like, a 4D cinematic experience. And, when the boats are driving up to the beach, and it's like, 20 seconds, guns coming down, bullets, the plane's like, fucking hell, shit. I felt like I was in that boat, being sick and about to get blown up. So, there you go. Watch Saving Private Ryan, go for a bumpy thunderstorm over Hungary.
Instead you're hosing down Japanese beer. Yeah, I'm in a war.
It did add to the experience, I'm not going to lie. But the rest of Saving Private Ryan, it doesn't really match the opening, does it? It does go a bit.
This is not a review of Saving Private Ryan. You've taken up you've taken 10 minutes of the podcast berating an old man. Because you didn't do it on the time that you had, and now you're talking about Saving Private Ryan. What's wrong with you?
I'm telling people the secret to making a 14-hour flight experience manageable.
Raw dog it. That's what everyone does nowadays, isn't it? They raw dog it. They don't watch any films. They don't read a book. They just look into. I mean, I think the podcast was kind of nailed exactly what I feel about the raw dog, the flight experience. Do you know what I mean? Like that whole kind of there's that, because raw dog is a horrible term anyway, and Americans are more familiar with it than the Brits. But they did make the point that, and I do massively agree with it, that they've turned something that could actually be quite a mindful, thoughtful experience. You know, not watching a film, not drinking alcohol, not eating, you know, and just kind of, you know, having a little bit of, you know, the 14-hour kind of monk's life. But they've turned it into something quite robust and alpha and male and stupid. When actually just taking a bit of time. Well, the first time I went to Japan with my mate Matty, he raw dogged it.
Wait, so raw dogging is, just for some clarity, it's where you sit on the flight and do nothing, right?
Yeah, it's not having unprotected sex with a plane. It is very much like just not doing anything and just kind of going into your mind, retreating into your mind, and just for 14 hours just doing nothing. And my mate did that probably about 10 years ago on the flight to Japan, and he. And his argument was, I said, I was watching you, Matty, and you didn't watch or listen to anything. Like, why didn't you get involved with some of the films? And he goes, well, any film I'd watch on the plane, I'd want to see on a big screen, and, like, you know, it's not a great experience. I'm like,
enough.
You didn't do anything. You didn't even sleep, you weirdo.
Like I said, watch a war film on the plane through turbulence, and you've got like the ultimate cinematic experience when the plane dips and goes up and down. Well, I looked over at Charlotte, and she was watching the Meg 2 about a giant shark.
A giant shark.
And it was like Jason Statham and a shark in China.
You two are the worst. I don't want to sit next to you on a plane. You're weirdos.
Private Ryan's all right.
Pods.
Fucking hell. And to answer Chris's other question, there you go, as an extended... either raw dog it and don't do anything, or watch Saving Private Ryan. And do from Tokyo to Hiroshima. It's quicker to fly. Do a flight. It's only like an hour. It's probably quicker in my experience. I've done that, and save you like a 4-hour bullet train ride. So we'll save you some time, and it might be cheaper as well. Tom from South Wales says, hello Chris and Pete, my partner and I have finally booked our flights to Tokyo in April next year, and we are super, I repeat, super excited. I know it's customary to remove your shoes when visiting many places in slippers. However, my shoe size is a UK 12. My girlfriend jokes that my Godzilla feet will destroy all the slippers in the greater Tokyo area. And I don't want to end up on your news segment as the gaijin go around ruining everyone's temple slippers. So my question is, are there likely to be sizes that will fit my feet, or would it be best to purchase my own pair to wear indoors? Would I offend people by refusing the offered slippers and opting for my own pair, or am I worrying too much about the whole thing? Please help. Tom from South Wales. I will say, Tom, don't worry about it. Like, my feet are size 9 or 10. I think they're size 10, and they're still too big for slippers, and it looks a bit silly. The slippers just go on the top of my feet, on the end of my foot, like a little sock or something. And so just do that. Don't worry about it. It will be weird, maybe just rocking up and being like, I've brought my own slippers. I think it's quite uncommon to see that happen, so I won't worry about it. And a lot of temples, actually, you just go in barefoot or in socks anyway, so a lot of places don't even do slippers. You just have bare feet, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You aren't going to Godzilla stomp all the fucking slippers in the Tokyo area. My God. We got one last question from Karen from Alabama, who says, hello, Chris and Pete. My husband and I will be spending Christmas in Tokyo this year. Do you have any recommendations for Christmas markets or other holiday events? All the best, Karen from Alabama. I will say, it's got to be the KFC Christmas menu. It's the ultimate Christmas experience. Microwave that chicken. Get a hotel room with a microwave. Get the Colonel's favourite microwave chicken. Stick it in. That's the only thing, the only redeeming quality to being in Japan over Christmas. You've never been here for Christmas, right, Pete? You've not been here before.
No. I just always, because I'm a child at heart, I just thought, I can't be away for Christmas. I've got to be in my house where all my things are. I don't know. Yeah, I've never been away for Christmas ever, which is quite interesting. But
poor old Pete.
I mean, I'm a romantic at heart.
It's got its charm to some extent at Christmas. I mean, there's snow, right? So if you want a white Christmas, you can have that in Japan. It's nice to stay in like a log cabin by a ski resort. Like, if I was coming here from the UK in December for for Christmas, I would do like a few days at a ski resort, like is it Hakone? Not Hakone. The one in Nagano, the name I can never remember, or Niseko in Sapporo. You know, combine it with a trip to Sapporo, go up there. That'd be lovely. I'd love to do that. You get the snowy, wintry vibes of Christmas. And they do go all in on Christmas here. They do have decorations and music. So even though it hasn't got like the soul at the middle of it, Christianity, it is just it has the kind of the commercial trappings of Christmas, which has its own charm, I suppose. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming in to abroadjapanpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back later in the week, guys. But for now, have yourself a great few days. And remember, don't go down the pathway. Why did you drive your car? Why are you driving the car? Didn't you read the sign? Why didn't you read the sign? I've got PTSD.
What's wrong with you?
Help me, Pete. I need therapy. See you later, guys. Have a good one. Bastard.
Bye-bye.